Well, good morning, everybody. RV living with the geezer. And see that black spot down there? Let's zoom in a little bit here. That's old Dixie. She's been down there most of the time for 2 days. And I'll walk down there and show you what she is she's concentrating on. It's a really pretty day out here. About 40, mid-40s this morning. Clear skies. Well, a few clouds, scattered clouds. Old Dixie. What are you doing, Dixie? She's a little hunter. And she's watching. Can you all see that, or is it her shadow on it? You see that hole right there? Yeah, that little hole. Look at her. There's something down there. I think it's a prairie dog. We used to have a bunch of them over in Granbury, which isn't that far from here. But I guess there was another one here, and she dug all this up. She dug down a ways and couldn't get to anything. Caved their tunnel in, I guess. So, yeah, old Dixie. See the little purple flowers out there in that field? Starting to bloom out, guys. There's the birds are in town. Yep. Getting pretty up here. Sure is. There's my buddy. Well, she's looking at something. Yeah, old Blanca. But Dixie's a little she's a little hunting dog. She reminds me of back with the Delgados when I grew up. They had a dog. They had a Cocker Spaniel named Queenie. And we would take Queenie with us when we'd go try to get, there was lots of armadillos on that ranch. And Queenie would, she was pretty fast before she got too old, and she could catch an armadillo before they got to the hole, and she'd grab them by the tail and hold them till we could get over there. We were usually on donkeys back then. This when I was a kid. And you say, what did you do with the armadillos, geezer? We caught them and we took them back to Mrs. Delgado, Minnie, and she fixed them up and put them between flour tortillas. And I know I'll get a lot of comments on that one saying, you're lucky you didn't get leprosy. I tell you what, South Texas, back in those days, South Texas would have had a lot of Hispanic people with leprosy if that myth was true. No, they don't cause leprosy. I heard that all my life, and I ate a lot of armadillo over there at their house. But like I said before, they ate whatever we hunted. So yeah, I'll just talk about that a little bit. Yeah, this is the times, around 1962 probably to early 60s. I was probably 12. Manuel and I were about the same age. He's a year older than I. We had BB guns and pellet guns. My dad had that. Blanca's concentrating on something down there now. Or else she's just in one of her funks. My uncle had that ranch out there, and they would get people in there year-round, really, mainly in the summer times. But he didn't want a lot of hunting as far as gunshots. He didn't mind us hunting at all. And he was an old World War I vet. And but so we would use BB guns, and I finally got a pellet gun. Single shot pellet gun. You'd break the barrel open and put a pellet in there, and we would hunt birds or doves, and and then we would do a lot of fishing in the creek down there. I remember Bobby Delgado and I went down there one time. Bobby, excuse me, Bobby was about, I think Bobby's still doing well. He lives down around San Antonio. But Bob and I went down there. He was about 4 years older than I was. And we were teenagers. We went down there somewhere. He got a big old net to this creek. And the creek, we hadn't had rain for a while. So it was sort of drying up. But it was Leon Creek is the name of the creek right there out of Leon Springs. And Bob came up with this big old net. I mean, it was like about 40 feet long, 20 feet wide. And the creek had a big old pool of water in it. And we threw it down into that pool. And he got on one side and I got on the other. And we pulled that net out of there. And we must have had like 70 or 80 perch in there. I mean, good size ones. We took them back up to their house and sat out on their patio and cleaned all those fish. And they had an old beat up freezer. And so we, you know, it was always full of venison and fish and just whatever they could get, you know, as I've talked about this before. But I just want to talk about my hunting stories there growing up on that ranch. And then maybe next hunting story I do will be the last one, and it'll be when we go up to Cherokee after I got married and we had that big ranch up there we were able to hunt on. But yeah, like I said the other day, my hunting stories don't get a lot of views. But anyway, you know, if I say I'm going to do something, I try to get it. It sort of sticks with me till I actually do it. Look at her. She's just staring at that hole. I mean, she's there all day yesterday. I don't know if she's seen anything, but I think it's a little old, you can call them prairie dogs or gophers. We had them. We had a lot of them out in Alpine. Yeah, there's a bunch of them out there. They're all over. So, oh yeah, I'll show you all something else over here I just discovered. But let's see, what else were we hunting? We left most of the deer hunting back then in my early teens. We left it to the older boys. They'd go out and, you know, they had the rifles and they'd go out in the woods and get the venison. Look at this. Look at this. I don't know. Look at that. It's all torn up. I think that's from hogs. We've got feral hogs up here. And I think the hogs were in here and rooted all that up. Pretty much. And Stephanie saw I think I told you all this. Stephanie saw what we think, she got a picture of it, a bobcat walking through their back pasture last week. It was pretty good size. So Dixie. What you got, Dixie? Yeah, Bobby and I, yeah, Bobby, they love to fish. And later on, they built their own pontoon boat. They got a couple of old military fuel tanks from salvage. And these guys could build anything. Delgados were a talented bunch. They were survivors. They built their own pontoon boat and would take it down to the coast and fish. They all loved to fish. And Bobby and I did fishing right there in that little creek. And across the road, across Bernie Stage Road, was I'll let y'all look at these pretty flowers over here while I talk. It was a ranch called Buena Vista Ranch, and they had the creek dammed up over there. So they always had water behind that dam. And Bobby and I had Uh, I don't know how it happened, but I didn't do it. But he might have. He never admitted to it. But there was a hole in the fence, and we climbed through that hole and go over there and fish behind that guy's dam. You know, we weren't supposed to be doing that, but we'd always catch some bass, or so they had catfish in there, and of course perch. But yeah, but like I said before, nothing ever went to waste. You know, we took it back up to their house. No, their protein supply was usually wildlife. Uh, Back then, their dad was probably making like $1.50 an hour as a laborer out there on the ranch, and their mom worked in the kitchen when there was people there for the classes. So I mean, they did not make a lot of money, and all the boys worked. They had jobs, and whatever they made in a week, I remember their mom would they would give at Friday they would give their paycheck to Minnie, and she would give them. I remember she would give them $10 back, and that was their spending money for the week. Yeah, yeah. So, but you know what? They were the happiest family, and I mean, you know, they're my brothers and sisters. You know, I still consider them that. I've said that many times. But they were as happy as they could be. But I mean, they all worked. Every one of them from the time from 12 years old on. I think Bobby, there was 10 of them, and several of them were already out of the house when I met them. You know, gone in military or whatever. But I think Bobby is the only one out of the whole bunch that graduated from high school. And Bobby was a really good athlete, a real good baseball player, and I think that's what kept him in school. He played for one of the bigger high schools there on the north side of San Antonio, and these days he could have got a scholarship and played somewhere, college, but he was that good. And he went on to start playing golf, and he's still playing, shooting in the 70s, and he's in the 70s. So he's always been Bob was, they were all good athletes, but Bob was the best athlete of the whole bunch. Yeah, and really a good guy. Went to Vietnam, but he was smart too. He was a clerk typist in the Army, so when he went to Vietnam, he was on a base. He wasn't out in the jungle, you know. But anyway, that's enough about that. I don't like talking about that. But all right, guys, it's long enough. Just wanted to cover Dixie inspired me with her little prairie dog hunting to talk about my hunting adventures, and that was probably about the extent of them there on the ranch for me. It was mainly fishing in those days, and then, like I say, I went on to do the hunting later on. But what you doing, Blanca? Blanca was playing with Dixie yesterday. Blanca's doing real good. She just gets a little zoned out every now and then. I try to give her a little mackerel in her food and get that fish oil in her. But all right, I've talked long enough. Peace out, guys. Happy Friday. Stay blessed. Hope everybody has a great weekend, and stay positive. And we'll be talking at you when I got something else to talk about. Dixie gave up on the prairie dog for a little bit. Bye-bye.